The Chief of Military Justice, a number of military judges and members of military prosecution take legal oath. The Sultanate presents the second review of its trade policies before meetings of World Trade Organizations in Geneva.
Trading system and is a strong.
And Petroleum Development Oman signs a number of agreements on investment projects for beneficiaries of social security system. Those are the headlines, and now the news in detail. In line with the provisions of military justice law, before His Excellency General Sultan bin Mohammed Al-Nu'mani, Minister of the Royal Office, a legal oath was taken by the Chief of Military Justice as well as a number of military judges and members of military prosecution. His Excellency, the Minister of the Royal Office, mentioned that a directives of His Majesty the Sultan stated that military justice should be affiliated to the Office of the Supreme Commander and all those who are affiliated to military and security services. Activation of provisions of military justice law came as a completion of legal structure to systems in the Sultanate which contribute in achieving justice for all military litigants and those who are of their same status aim to provide legal assurances for litigations. His Excellency requested Allah Almighty to achieve security and peace for the dear country under the leadership of the Supreme Commander of the Armed Forces. The Sultanate presented the second review for its trade policies before meetings of World Trade Organization in Geneva. The Sultan's delegation to the meetings reviewed policies and trade procedures of the country based on the report of the Sultan's government and another report by Secretariat of World Trade Organization. The meetings also reviewed progress and modernization made by the Sultanate to uplift its economy based on freeing economy. The review aims to measure abidance of all member countries by rules and regulations in line with multi-party trade agreements and agreements of collective trade in order to achieve biggest degree of transparency and understanding of trade policies. The delegation was chaired by His Excellency Engineer Ahmed bin Hassan Al-Dib, Under-Secretary of the Ministry of Commerce and Industry for Commerce and Industry. Based on a report by the Sultan's government, His Excellency, the Under-Secretary of the Ministry of Commerce and Industry for Commerce and Industry, presented a speech in Geneva.
The four pillars of Oman economic policy are sustainable development with stable macroeconomic framework, a diversified, dynamic and globalized economy, advanced human resource development, and an efficient and competitive private sector. These objectives of economic policy are achieved through the instrument of liberalizations, diversifications, and privatizations. The guiding spirit behind these ambitious policies in the vision of His Majesty the Sultan, with emphasis on implementing the plans and programs aims at enhancing comprehensive development in the social and economic fields. The ultimate aim is the welfare and prosperity of the people. Economic and trade policies are geared toward this noble aim. The government has vigorously pursued the policy of diversifications of economy. The aim is to reduce dependence on oil. The policy is bearing fruit though the price of oil sometimes distorts the data. Even before Oman joined the WTO in 2000, it had been in practice and as a matter of policy following the principle and rules of the multilateral trading system. Since its accession to the WTO, Oman's trade policy conforms in letter and spirit the principle and rules of the WTO. Our trade regime is free and liberal, transparent and business-friendly.
His Excellency Ambassador Abdullah bin Nasser Al-Rahbi, Sultan's permanent envoy to the United Nations Organization in Geneva, said through follow-up of global indicators through World Economic Forum and WTO, as well as other authorities concerned, it found that the salters placed in high levels, and this was due to the wise policy adopted by the Sultanate at all organizations, either trade, social, political, or any other organization. Petroleum Development Oman, PDO, unveiled today the biggest package of social investment projects in the history of the company. This came at the signing ceremony of a number of memorandum of understandings. They were signed by His Excellency Dr. Mohammed bin Hamad al-Rumhi, Minister of Oil and Gas, and PDO's Chairman of the Board of Directors. The projects covered regional municipalities and water resources and the Ministry of Health. The company supports the Ministry of Health with two projects: the construction of intensive care unit at Khola Hospital and Drugs and Narcotics Addiction Rehabilitation Center in the Wilayat of Al-Amarat. The package also included the construction of public majlis and multi-purpose halls in the governorates of Dakhiliya and supporting services offered to disabled people and training of female citizens known as Girls of Oman project. The company also finds a research project that targets environment preservation. With regard to the signing of the agreements, Nigel Windsor, Deputy Chairman of Earth Monitoring Programme, had this to say.
We have the privilege to focus on four areas for the time being. We've had the privilege to work in Wadi Serene, doing a study of the Arabian tar, and found that the conservation policies of Oman, set many years ago, mean that there's a very rich habitat and large numbers of the Arabian tar. We also have the privilege to work in Jebel Samhan, studying on the Arabian leopard with the Office for Conservation and Environment. And we also, at the moment, are beginning a new project looking at affleage and a specific fallage project in the village of Lizu, and that begins very shortly. So we've got a broad range of projects and in working with a large number of institutions in this country.
Developing bilateral relations between the Sultanate and Iran in medical and scientific fields were discussed at a meeting in Tehran between His Excellency Dr. Ahmed bin Mohammed al-Saidi, Minister of Health, and Dr. Ali Rida Mondi, Chairman of Iranian Medical Sciences Institute. At the meeting, the chairman expressed his country's preparedness to train and qualify Omani's medical cadres and to provide scientific and medical capabilities to the Sultanate. As part of main infrastructure of Special Economic Zone in Dukhum, a launching ceremony for Crown Plaza Hotel to be added to the existing economic development projects at the zone to attract domestic and foreign investments. The launch ceremony was presided over by His Highness Said Taimur bin Asad Al Said, Assistant Secretary General for International Cooperation at the Research Council. The 220-room hotel will be the residence for foreign investors who come to get acquainted to the potentials, capabilities and facilities offered by Dukhum to the region and the entire world. It also will be a touristic destination at the Governorate of Wusta due to its geographical location overlooking the Arabian Sea. The Minister of Agriculture and Fisheries Wealth announced the results of Agricultural Census 2012-2013. The census showed positive results that will be the foundation for the formulation of the Sustainable Agricultural Development Strategy. It provides detailed data on the company of agricultural infrastructure. The results pointed out to an increase in the total area of agricultural holdings by 9% and raise in the number of livestock wealth. The agricultural and fisheries production also increased, with current prices from 483.5 million Omani Rials in 2012 to 501 million Rials in 2013, with growth rate of 3.6%. The number of working Omani farmers from the holders' household raised by 54%. The number of coconut palm trees increased by 11.5%, while date palm in the agricultural holdings decreased by 3.8%. The number of lemon trees also increased by 11% and mango trees by 8.5%. The vegetable planted areas witnessed an increase by 125%. These data and statistics will be used as scientific reference by researchers and investors in the agricultural sector. They are accessible through booklets, CDs, and the ministry's website. Still to come in our news bulletin. German University of Technology in Muscat held a ceremony to celebrate Earth Day. Welcome back to the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. Relations between the Sultanate and Sudan and ways of stepping them up in all fields were discussed at a meeting with His Excellency Khalid bin Hilal al-Mauli, Chairman of the Shura Council, with the delegation of National Defense College of Sudan. The delegation listened to a briefing on Shura progress, the Council's role in reviewing laws and legislations, and its contribution of points of view in comprehensive development plans of the country. The Sudanese military delegation expressed their admiration of the development of Shura in the Sultanate. The Board of Directors of the Public Authority for Radio and Television approved to put up new mechanism and standards that organize production of radio and television drama works. That came in the second meeting of the year of the Board of Directors of the Public Authority for Radio and Television, which was held at the authority's premises in Muscat today. The meeting was chaired by His Excellency Dr. Abdullah bin Nasser al-Harasi, Chairman of the Public Authority of Radio and Television. It came to complete discussions of topics which were discussed in the previous meeting and related to a study of Omani drama prospection. The board made a recommendation for creating academic and practical study scholarships in fields of various drama productions in coordination with authorities concerned. The board also called for establishing drama production companies with integrated criteria and elements to qualify these companies to produce high-quality drama. Food Safety Conference, at the end of its works, recommended to review and unify legislations and rules related to food quality that are imported and produced locally, completing procedures necessary to establish food safety and quality center. The recommendations also included setting up a database of imported and local food products to monitor communicable diseases through food and assess hygiene system, as well as to train personnel working in the field. The conference was organized by the Ministry of Regional Municipalities and Water Resources and called for awareness plans for producers, workers, and consumers of food safety and quality. The Sultanate recorded 2 coronavirus death cases. The symptoms of the disease are manifested in high temperature, headache, and breathing trouble. Those suffering from chronic diseases diabetes, high blood pressure, and heart diseases are more vulnerable to coronavirus. According to statistics of World Health Organization, 250 cases were recorded globally, while the death cases were 93. Coronavirus is also known as Middle East Respiratory Syndrome. The Omani Association for the Disabled in Sohar organized First Creation Forum for the Disabled. The three-day forum aimed to highlight the talents of this category in the society. It was held in Sohar Historical Souk, with huge participation from all age categories, in addition to various institutions from the governorates of North and South Al-Batna. The activities varied among making handicrafts, drawing, pottery, and others. The participants expressed that such events show that the disabled are also keen to contribute in development of the community. German University of Technology in Muscat held a ceremony to celebrate Earth Day. With the aim to preserve environment elements, it witnessed a huge participation from members of the society. It included a section for local agricultural products as well as activities for children. The event shed light on a proper usage of environmental resources and urged on finding alternatives for environmental recycling and using new ways to contribute in limiting pollution. The accompanying exhibition stressed on the role of various social institutions to spread the culture of environmental awareness. For the second consecutive day, rains continued to fall in a number of the wilayas of the Sultanate. Rains fell in the wilayat of Rustaq in the governorate of South Al-Batna and wilayat of Al-Amarat in the governorate of Muscat this afternoon. Rains with varied intensities fell in some areas of the governorate of Dakhiliya. These pictures were taken from yesterday's evening rainfalls in the wilayat of governorates of North Sharqiya. Now here's the general weather forecast. Clear to partly cloudy skies will prevail over the Sultanate, with chances of thunder showers accompanied by hails over parts of the Hajar Mountains and coastal areas overlooking Sea of Oman, and fog over parts of the governorate of South Sharqiya, Wusta, and southern parts of Dhofar. Winds will be southwesterly light to moderate, and seas along the coast will be moderate with a maximum wave height of 1.5 meters. This is the Sultan of Oman Television. Before we enter tonight's bulletin, the main points once again. The Chief of Military Justice, a number of military judges and members of military prosecution take legal oath. The Sultan presents the second review of his trade policies before meetings of World Trade Organization in Geneva.
Trading system and is strong.
And Petroleum Development Oman signs a number of agreements on investment projects for beneficial of social security system. And with that, we come to the end of tonight's news bulletin. From all of us here in the newsroom and the studios, good night.